he was like, kid, season 2s, season 3s, all those are only guaranteed when they're announced. Don't decline an offer you haven't been made yet. And I was like, God dang it.
Don't you hate it when white people are right sometimes?
I hate it when white people are right.
Don't you hate that?
I was just like, oh, you ain't my daddy. Like, no.
Oh my God, Yvie.
Hello.
I'm liking the green hair. I'm liking, like, you always have a different contact. It's actually painful to me to watch you put your contacts in because it looks like you are about to, like, take out your eyeball. And I just don't understand why you put yourself through it.
Because people are mean.
What? Are you saying people hate your natural eye color? Like, why are people mean?
No. Okay. Those are two different questions.
Oh, okay.
Cannot answer why people are mean. I don't believe in the God that a lot of them do. So
Big that.
But no, it's kind of funny. It's been a while since I guess I consistently had been putting myself out in such a public way where people, I guess, are taking my image into consideration. Girl, some of the shit that people like would be saying under our comments, like, wow, Yvie looks like a crazy candy meth head or something, or like,
I've actually seen the opposite recently. Like, I remember when we first started the pod, they were for sure saying that. But now they're saying you give by panic. Like, you are like full on hot. And I just be like, am I like Humpty Dumpty sitting next to Yvie? Because Yvie is hot. But what about me?
bitch, you are hot. You are hot. It's just like you're not showing enough hole.
That is true. I have not gotten there yet, but one day, maybe that's our live show that comes down the line.
No, now I'm just like doing this shit because as the weather gets colder, especially like post Halloween, I don't know what it is that all October I don't want to do like ooky spooky anything. I don't want to get into all the shenanigans. The second Halloween is over, I'm like, oh, I have 30 different like horror ideas I want to do, and I want to be this monster, and I already bought all these crazy spooky contacts, so like
you're like, I might as well use them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's real. That's right. And I'm so excited. And I don't even know if we should say it, but honestly, fuck it. I'm so excited. I get to see Yvie next week. She's coming to LA. We're literally spending the entire week together. And we have some like really great like interviews planned, and we're in person because we've only been in each other's like presence like in real life like
literally
once.
just that 1 week.
And so it's like I'm so excited to like have you here on next week. Like I have really been thinking about it. Like,
you know what I didn't realize about us, Ryan? We're not real friends.
I mean, that is true.
We're internet friends. We're like what your parents
colleagues.
Are like, that's not your real friend. You shouldn't be talking to strangers on the internet. That's not a real friend. That's your internet friend.
It is for sure me asking ASL in a chat room with you.
Oh my God, shut the fuck up. No, we're gonna have a key though. I wanna go out. I wanna like do something out in public.
Okay.
I feel like since this is your hometown, we have to go somewhere that you wouldn't usually.
Oh, for sure. And that's everywhere because I'm normally in the house. Like, that's the thing. I feel like we are just such the complete opposites where it takes me so much. It's like there's a lot of energy that it takes for me to like really want to like go out. I went out last night to a Red Bull event where they were like having us try their new flavor that basically is actually really delicious, and I will not allow them to get me addicted to Red Bull in the ways that I used to be when I used to be like a server.
So real.
No, because that shit is crack, and it's and they gave us like the like a box of a few of them, and I was like, oh, y'all are dirty. But it was such
I'm about to have problems, aren't I?
Yeah. it was such a cute moment to like be there because it felt very fall and just be out. But I found out like less than like 10 minutes that, oh, like, hey, you want to come to this thing? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna come. But it took me a minute to really want to like get myself ready to go out. That's just how I am. So I've been actually preparing. We have been preparing for this trip for probably like a few weeks, and I have been preparing since then to be like, okay, the week is coming. let's be ready to be outside with Yvie, because I know she's gonna want to be outside. Can we go to Akbar?
I don't know what that is, but sure, let's do it.
Wait, Akbar is like a hole in the wall spot over here in like Silver Lake. And I ran into Naomi. I didn't speak. She was with someone and I just was like with friends, but I saw her and I was like, yeah, it's like a very hole in the wall spot. I feel like you were like, the drinks are very strong and they're low key cheap. And so I'm like, I think we could have a vibe.
Down.
I think we could have a vibe.
Actually, that sounds like the outing experience because I've seen WeHo and she's seen me, girl.
Yeah, I rather not do the WeHo. I shout out to it when it's there and you want to go, but I rather find like a cute hole in the wall and just do that. And Akbar tends to be that, you know? And it's not like precinct where the smell is in the walls, even though I like precinct.
You're so hateful. You're so hateful to my favorite bar in your whole fucking city. God damn you.
But I mean, here's the thing. The person that's coming on the show, I'm honestly, if they do in LA, like if they're coming to LA, I feel like they would totally perform at Precinct. Like that would be their spot. And I'm so excited because Yvie has been fangirling over our guest that is coming on right now. They won King of Drag. And who are they?
It's King Molasses. Y'all better put some fucking respect on the name. It's excellence. It's man excellence. I want to smell his pit. Okay, King Molasses.
Yeah.
Coming up next.
Change your panties because it's going to get good.
I'm so wet.
HIGHKEY. Okay, y'all. So our guest today, I am so excited. They didn't just win a crown on King of Drag, but they actually made history doing it. The first ever winner of King of Drag, a performer, a producer, an all-around powerhouse. And if I must say, the first time that I knew of King Molasses was when they were teaching Ashley Darby on Real Housewives of Potomac how to be a drag king, which is a wild crossover. Please welcome King Molasses to the show.
Hey, welcome.
Oh, charms. Absolutely.
Obsessed. No, obsessed. Literally, you are just the coolest human that I have like watched just really grow. It's been really incredible. And I know your life has shifted in a very quick way in a very real time. And how are you? How have you been dealing with the shift and the insane exposure to the spotlight?
Yeah, because honestly, okay, I know that question does and will and forever get asked a lot of you.
For sure.
And I also know that I personally struggled coming up with an answer that felt as deep as what I was feeling every day. So I'm curious for you, like, how would you describe your experiences to people who have nothing to benefit from whether you plug an ad or not?
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for the question, albeit, yes, the weight of that question the last like 3 months of my life has just been exponentially heavier.
Yeah.
Right now I am dehydrated, but I'm good.
It's so real. It's like you're like 1 inch step from having a Charlie horse right now.
Yeah, like it's giving like whatever like that pyramid is, like the lowest, like or like you just need water, like shelter Pavlov's whatever that is.
Wait, are you talking about the food pyramid? And if that's the case, why wasn't water ever on the pyramid of things we had to consume? They were like, eat 20 loaves of bread, bitch. And
30 eggs.
Yeah, you can even have a little ice cream, and then there's like a little asterisk down at the bottom, like water if you feel.
Intro to propaganda, honestly. But yeah, I am tired and grateful, I think, is the easiest way to sort of encapsulate it, the most honest way.
Yeah.
And I think some people maybe got this from the show, but I'm definitely not someone that's afraid of sort of just being like sad boy. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, have you been outside? Like, what?
What is there to be happy about, low key? No shame.
I love being grumpy, dead ass. Like, I think it's realistic. I think it's honest. I think most scenes call for it, like in the bit of life. And like I want to be a trash goblin every now and then. So it's like I feel everything kind of at once. And also, I beneath all of that, I try to honestly, I do fashion myself a bit of an optimist. Like I choose to be here, like, and depending on how woo you want to like take it, like I really choose to be here. I don't know why I chose to be here sometimes, but I can't help but sort of turn to the fullness of it. And even when it's super intense, it's super beautiful. Like life is kind of beautiful. Real talk.
I like well, I guess I should get some fangirling out of the way too.
Do it. I've been waiting. I have been waiting for you to be on our show so I can see like Yvie go full fan mode, because I'm always like a fan when the like queens and everyone come on, and so I'm like, Yvie is obsessed. So please.
First of all, I was shocked out of the blue just randomly that like, yeah, finally there's this opportunity to showcase a facet of the same art form I practice that for some reason, it's kind of funny when like we play around in the art of, to call it simply, gender. Like we're the gender artists, and it's kind of funny that the whole point of this is to like make fun of gender, but then we're like, yeah, but those girls trying to be boys can't be with us.
Like, but also may I keep this gate, please? Over here? Excuse me. You can't sit with that. Like, no. Like,
it's so funny how we always turn to systematic oppression.
Oh yeah, like she is me. We are.
I mean, I will say there is this like constant critique. I remember having myself like when I had a lot more misogyny to unpack, a lot more self-hate to unpack, but like I do remember feeling like in general about drag kings being like, yeah, but they're boring, they're not doing as much, like, and it's kind of funny because that's still the critique I hear echoed back from the people who like aren't quite sold yet. What would you have to say to somebody like that who clearly has like at least never seen one of your shows? Because
yeah, I think that's like the first thing. I guess it's like you haven't met me. You haven't seen me. And also just, I mean, I don't think I have a unique take in that misogyny plays a huge part in people's attitudes towards drag kings, because it's based on the assumption that, a drag king is not a cis man or someone who is assigned male at birth, which is not true. There are many AMAB drag kings. There are many great AMAB drag kings. And also this is drag. So all of these weird, like sort of boxes that we are putting ourselves in, it's very goofy. It's super goofy behavior.
It feels so stupid at the end of the day because it's like this. One, I feel like it's something that we always hear when it comes to just drag the art in general. It's like, y'all are kind of like glorified clowns in a lot of ways. Like you make people happy and joyful, and it's really interesting to see how like drag has become such a huge mainstream moment where the speaker of criticism has gotten larger and larger, which someone from like you had your own platform before going on King of Drag, right? And so I wondered why even like, I guess, open yourself up to the possibility, like just be like, you're already dealing with all of the shots already locally and what you're dealing with, but now it's on a national, global level. What was your decision around to being like, okay, yeah, I'll do King of Drag?
Yeah, Aho was definitely tired upon that application. Like, let's be sad boy. Let's be sad boy. So it is fair to definitely say I had a bit of a cult following coming into the launch of visibility from King of Drag. And that was built the way that, that Yvie, that many drag performers like out around the country, around the world built it, which is that, I went to a show, I started performing. I made $25 that first night. And
oh, so you were really good from the jump.
You're like, you making money.
25 for one act, babe. Like, work. No, like actually, I think it's probably a good time to sort of say I didn't have a drag family. Like nobody asked me to do this.
Yeah.
Like cry for help. But I first saw my first drag king show. I think I was around like 26. I had not done drag up until that point. I started drag at 27 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. Which means I am older than 27 years old, which is also really funny to me because I think a lot of people were quite taken by like the heft of me, and I'm like, it's because I'm over the age of 30. That's why.
I wasn't like going to ask this, but to be honest, I was like getting ready in the shower, and I was like, how the fuck old is King Molasses?
No.
Because they seem like one of those people who like, they were just like a little kid walking around like a 2-year-old baby, like already walking, smoking a cigar with like the nicest posture. And people were like, you're one of those people who you're an old soul since you were young.
So I was just about to say that.
Yeah, it's called I had African parents. That's
period. Big
That's the
Big
bags
dot.
Under my eyes are.
Yeah.
Like,
so you were actually at the age of 30 when you like exited the womb.
Yeah, like I paid off like 3 cars. Like tariffs ain't nothing.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, to sort of like reel it back, like I had very humble beginnings, and I had no expectations when I started doing drag. I saw Kings perform. Up until that point, I had watched drag for several years in my young adulthood, or in my like early 20s. I saw my first drag show in college. So when I saw Kings do it, I was like, I think I would be really good at that.
Yeah.
Like it was a very simple, clear thought. And that sort of launched this whole internal turmoil around like, what you mean you want to like be a boy? And at that time, like I was really still forcing myself into like the cis woman experience. And by force, I mean, like, I was chilling, but, like, women are weird, too. So, like, we'll get there. Like, don't worry. Like, I promise. We're going to get to that. Yeah, that gatekeeping is going, we're going to get over there. So, yeah, a lot of the questions that people naturally have when your friend says they want to start doing drag, which is like, is this about something else, possibly?
Yeah. Do you want to transition?
Yeah, like what does this mean for me? And I've always been I think it's fair to say I've always been coded as a masculine person, like since I was very, very young.
If it was the 90s, we'd be like, oh, you're a tomboy, and then if L word came out, they'd be like, oh yeah, that's one of those like bull dykes, that's one of those butches.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but honestly,
the butch ones, for sure.
But honestly, if you like insert me into that universe, the butch ones would be like, you see all them curls in there? Like, nah.
That's like there's actually that curl pattern right there. That's
a little too Yeah. The studs were like, that's cute. Yeah. I tried. So
you've entered into like knowing that you wanted to do drag and like be a drag king.
Yeah.
And you built the platform, but like when you saw the show, when you were like, oh, King of Drag, there's a show now, they're trying to build this up. And I know that you almost didn't audition until like Murray Hill was like, please, what are you doing? Tell us about that and why was there such hesitancy?
Yeah. So the hesitancy was when the show was announced, I was taking a break. I like up until the end of that year, I had like really busted like my ass trying to get projects off the ground that, would kind of really try to put me in the space where I am now. I went through a really crazy bodybuilding circuit at the top of the year. And I did like a whole body like recomp. I was working on like a documentary project, and I was gigging like crazy. So
Wow.
like, and by crazy I mean like I did honcho. Like I did nightgowns like the start of 2024.
Wow, yeah.
My first nightgowns. And I had ended that season with my first Bushwig, where I ended up like opening for Julie J on my first entry. It was the latest spot that a king had ever had.
Wow.
And I mean, to be frank, I smashed it. And I felt like I was just punching up, and everything that I was doing just wasn't really reaping the return.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like I like that sigh, hearing that sigh from you, Yvie, like tells me like, and truly even at the end of this experience, like Rue girls, Dragula girls, folks that are gigging in the performance industry, like these like cycles of like working and just kind of the thanklessness and the needing to self-validate, all of those things are so present. They never really change.
It doesn't leave.
It's the
part of
trippiest part, especially because like I think there is some of what we do as drag artists, like obviously a lot of it is to please ourselves, to heal ourselves, to like really put some energy in and be like, what do I want? But there is also this part of the ego that I would say is like we see how stagnant it gets to be at a certain level. I often get critiqued for talking shit about the hand that fed me, but I'm always thinking about like the hungry person I was right before then, the person who like saw Drag Race as not something necessarily that like they wanted their life to become about, but like
you wanted to end. Like you
wanted a chance to do more because you can work your ass off. And I still get this honestly from all the performers I talked to back in Denver, where they're like, yeah, man, can you give me one more tip on like how to like make an impression this way or that way, or I might do this show that next year because like I've done everything here and people still don't cling on to it. So I'm very curious because you're a self-aware person. It is written all over your code.
Yeah, I try to be. And that was definitely something that like I considered when the show had come out.
Yeah.
Which is that like, you know, I was honestly, I've already felt that I was already one of the best to do it by the time that the show had already been announced. And it doesn't actually mean anything. Like I was at the top, or sort of really honestly creating and pushing against a ceiling that
blueprint of some sorts.
Yeah. And I think that heaviness and that the lack of return was really realizing that there wasn't really a space for me because nobody really knew what to do with me. They knew that I was good. And like my favorite thing often is that when I'm booked, like I'll usually try and ask like, you know, what's like the vibe if I don't know it already, if I don't do my research, and they're just like, just do whatever that thing you do. Just like just I don't know what the fuck that is.
Which is like the worst prompt to give somebody with an artist's brain. Like, just do that thing you do. Like
I actually think that's a great prompt because at least it's like affirming that like what you've been able to build brick by brick is like working, and do it in this space because you wouldn't have been hired if it didn't work. No shade.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a double-edged sword in that it gives you, it's validating, and it's just like, you know, you're doing something right. But it's also, you know, no one seems to be able to articulate what that is. And then in terms of like your ability to matriculate and to enter other rooms, you can only really move laterally to a certain point.
Wow, that's so interesting.
I need you to, like, can we talk about puppies or some shit? Like, I feel like.
So Murray, anyway.
I can't have you
so
talking
Murray
about
was
these
like,
big things.
You know, Yvie's like, I am triggered.
Like, yeah, no, we're not trying to activate. But that's, so the silver lining here is that, like, I was fatigued and I was just like, I just need to stop and however I come back is gonna, it has to be different. I just need to do something different. And that was literally to the day, December 16th was when Variety had released, had announced that the show was gonna happen. That was the anniversary of my dad's death.
Wow.
And my dad is buried not too far from me, like about an hour and a half away. So I was there with him like that morning. I often like, you know, I like to kind of hang out with the graveyard like kids and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah.
But like I was getting like buzzes like on my phone.
Yeah.
And I'm just like
I'm over like it's like I'm actually overstimulated right now.
I'm like, my bad. Like and I'm just like Variety. Like and then I see this and I'm like, huh. And then people are just immediately adding me, being like, yo, this person.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool. When I take my beat and I look at it, it was like little morsels of like a lot of potential, not a lot of details in the beginning. And like anybody, I think with like just caution and where I was sort of at, I was like, this sounds awesome. I will wait till season 2.
HIGHKEY. You know, you don't want to be the test dummy.
That's where I was going with the, you're a very self-aware person. And I think we all are deep enough into reality TV culture to know that like the pilot season of the fiercest things that have changed the biggest culture, like don't always get the justice that those artists are hoping for or deserving. But which is why I'm curious how you like cross the boundary into doing it, because I do think that in your case, however, you are and were like such an established name. You were already, as you said, you were already doing that shit. Like, so it's interesting. Do you think you would have been more, I guess, more privy to auditioning? Like you would have been hungrier to do it if there were like, if it were later, even if that meant that you'd have to come in as like a legend trying to mold yourself into a show? Or
yeah, that's a great question, because you know, not that I would have regrets regardless of my result on the show, but what ended up ultimately sort of turning my path toward it was when Marie had like spoken to me and I had expressed like similar things. I was just like, you know, I don't like, yeah, like this is a really tight turnaround. It's the winter time. Like I'm already in sort of like a season of sort of like reflection. I'm fatigued. I'm tired, you know, like, will this be worth it? Why are you doing it? And, you know, he was like, kid, like season 2s, season 3s, all those are only guaranteed when they're announced. So don't decline an offer you haven't been made yet.
Wow.
And I was like, God dang it.
Don't you hate it when white people are right sometimes?
I hate it when white people are right. Ooh.
Don't you hate that?
I was just like, oh, you ain't my daddy. Like, no.
Well, what's funny though is you do like hold up to what I will say is this coincidence amongst the big drag shows where in the first season, you know, where they may not have the biggest production and budget and all this and that, the person who ends up winning is really typically the idea of whatever that brand's perfection is. Somebody who can carry the weight of being like, no, I've actually held a position of power before. Like I can lead us into the future. Whereas later on, you know, sometimes they'll choose like a fierce fashion twink.
You know, and the season 2 of me was likely like Twinkette. But yeah, you know, I definitely take the responsibility of not only just winning, but simply being on the cast very highly. And to be honest, the part of that turn of thinking was that we Kings have been waiting for a moment to respond to that question that is always just kind of thrown into the forum around whether or not Kings can perform to be direct at the level of Drag Race performers, and then Dragula. But then we, of course, we've established that we can. Land Insider, thank you so much. But even still, right, because Dragula is still born out of an alternative response to the Drag Race model, right? It's like I mean, we see the articles, like we've done the explainers. I've done the explainers. So this was really when I started to look toward it. I said that if I was going to do this, I'm going to put down the idea about being the best or winning. I don't have anything to prove in that regard, to be quite honest. Nor do I necessarily need the attention of people who are not looking for me. So if I can put that away, I can focus on using this, like, you know, we don't know the aperture of this microscope, right? Yeah. But we know that there's a lens toward us, like, in earnest for the first time. So I'm gonna have to smash it out of the park. I have to make it not only, to be quite honest, winning was the least of my priorities. It was making the impression that I couldn't get past when I was doing it all those
just
years
banging
before,
on that fucking ceiling.
And when you have that opportunity, when that spotlight is finally on you and like on the culture of drag queens as a whole, how does that change your sense of what drag can now be for you?
For me, it definitely gives a sense of safety, in the sense that, you know, if this show, a lot of people argue whether or not, like, it was successful or not. I would argue that it was, in fact, like, successful, at least for my purposes. And
also we love a crunchy first season.
Yeah, like the
like that's actually cult classic.
It's ridiculous.
Like, and I am of the early reality show era. Like, I watched like Surreal Life. Like, it was like it was a lawless land. Yeah, yes. Like, honestly, like we can get real deep in there. I still watch The Challenge every now and then, like, you know, just for nostalgia's sake. So, like, I definitely, for my own sort of like sake, I was like, you know, I don't want to look too crazy. Like, I mean, like, I'm a clown, so this is not, you know,
I have refined a little bit, please.
Right. But I know as soon as this show comes out, we don't know how well it's going to do, but we know it's going to be compared to Drag Race. So I am not phoning this in. Like, and if anything, like, I try to set my own specific agendas per each challenge and each presentation that I can get. So the works that I did on the show, one of which was one that I had been working on as a thesis since college, like, which was the void suit for the Fear Challenge, which, like, color and color theory and performance art has been something, like, within my art making practice for over a decade. Like, I am not new to this. Like, I might be newer to drag in the context of, like, my work as a professional, but I am not new to making and sort of, like, like getting in that ass in
You're
terms
an
of that
art school
concept.
queer.
I'm an art school
queer.
Like,
No,
You
Yvie, I was
can-
literally just like, it's so hot to watch people nerd out
You
on
can
their
tell
shit.
that
It's
you can
so
tell
hot.
that like you've been in a gallery critique before, having to be like, okay, yes,
Yeah.
well, this composition.
Yeah, I may have adjunct maybe once or twice. Like, like
yeah.
good at this. I'm really good at this. So yeah, like I wanted to bring. No, I didn't want to like show it off like that. These are my skills, but I'm like, this is the biggest room I've been in so far. So let's take what I've got and let's like transform it into whatever the fuck this is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have no idea who the judges are. I don't know like how it's going to be presented. I don't know if I will look good. But like go win it for me. Like, and we filmed this, and this is not like, a couple people referenced it, so this is not news, but we filmed this in 7 days.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me. That is honestly like, and I also am familiar with Reverie, the production company and the studio that put the show on, and insane. I mean, they do, to know that one unprecedented work. Like, it's just crazy. Did you feel that when you were in it that week?
Like, I felt nothing by the end. Because it's 7 consecutive days. That's what people like. So by the finale, every day prior was 10 to like 16 hours. And then the next day. And
it's
then
not
the
like
next
you're
day.
sleeping like really comfortably at night. You're like, oh, what happened today? And also my brother who went home. And also
I just talked about the trauma of my life on camera.
Yeah. And like my brother is also like my roommate. Like, like the budget is small, and there was not only just like the mental labor of the competition, but the emotional labor. And with all of that, I knew, like, even when I got there and I was just like, okay, we're all punching up here. There's no excuse for me. I still have to make the statement, because talking about that safety, if this show did flop, there wouldn't be a lane for me to come back to that would allow me to surpass like the tier that I had already gotten to prior to the show.
It's a lot of pressure, though, to like kind of know that that's like rested, like the legacy of drag kings are kind of rested on your shoulders while you're doing this historic thing. I mean, that's heavy.
It is heavy.
It's funny too, because it is something that, at least as a viewer, I got out of you. Like, actually, all of the kings, I saw it, like you and a cast full of people. I saw, your mentors and your guests even understand how important this is. And that's why I think it's really funny, like the little bit of push I've heard kind of, not even against the show, but like we have Bob on, and Bob was like, oh,
yeah,
I hated it when when they were just like all trauma dumping. And I'm like, dude, you've obviously never been to like a crunch. It's been a minute since you've been to a good crunchy local show. Because yes, there is going to be some trauma. Welcome to being queer, and welcome to finally having a space
to talk about
you.
This is actually what we've been asking for a lot of times when it comes to representation, to hearing authentic and truthful stories about like our lives and seeing it on such a platform as this, right? Like, it's important.
I totally agree. And also to be fair to Bob, like it was cringe.
It was
like I have eyes. I was like I was there. Like,
you look to your left, to your right, everybody like just completely distraught.
You were like, yeah, this was actually a horror challenge, and we just went into the horrors of our lives.
Like, I was like, oh, word? Like, that's what you want? Like, like I was gutted, babe. Like,
did you hate that? Did you hate that they were? I mean, because that's the production part of television. right? Like they have to pull the story together. And it's just like, did it feel forced?
I wouldn't say that what I brought, and honestly, in earnest, what I felt everybody bring was forced.
Okay.
Now, there is that level of removal when you're watching it, like from the audience, because what is edited out is a lot of context. And then also the sort of underneath it is that all reality TV is constructed.
Yeah.
Like these are, like, it is made for the purpose of being this thing. It's not necessarily made for the purpose of making sense outside of like the scope of the game. So, like, everybody at the end of that episode, and honestly at the end of almost every episode, because there is this like emotion, there is an emotionality to the show that is simply just not in contemporary Drag Race. I don't know if it can be just based on like the commodification of the model. Like it's too big, and it's also not necessarily there to serve that purpose,
Yeah.
But with the show, we were honest about our lives and how our lives pertain to our drag. In watching it, we are not above feedback. We're not above critique. I actually think that would be a disservice to us. Like, I didn't punch as far up as I did for y'all to just be like, no.
Oh my God.
Like, I know I'm good, and I am so good that like this is what I'm here. This is the sport of it. So that was what made it feel so much like more, in the moment. Like, it didn't feel off.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's weird to be on TV. It's weird to be on cameras. Like, I am not the loudest personality. And I can be quite inward, and I can be quite serious and intense. And those things don't necessarily tend to work
for TV character.
But dead ass, like when I was auditioning for the show, and they, within the callback model, they're like, so we really want to know what your character is. I was just like,
yeah, like
it's me. Like, can it not just be me?
It's me eating hair. Like, that's what it is. Like, you think they won't let me stand on the bar if I look like this. Like, they would, they barely let me stand on the bar trying to get into the gig, even though I'm on the flyer. But like that, like the show's authenticity was because we were authentic. And that was honestly the best that we could do. And then once it's released, it's released. And I'm super grateful for the fact that, Bob gave Kings of Drag three episodes, I'm grateful to I'm grateful to y'all for like spotlighting it on the podcast. For the Rue girls that were in my DMs episode 1 that were like, holy shit, like, this is so cool.
I wasn't gonna be, I'm not trying to be a fake bitch on you. I gotta see if you're a winner first, baby.
Yeah.
You said winner to winner. I gotta see
if you're hot first. like, let's look. All right, you can come. Like, but it meant a lot to me. Like, even when we gigged together, like in New York, like for Fashion Week, like you just even running up and saying, hey, when we had like 5 million yards of fabric in your arms running around, like those things mean everything to me because it's about the sport. It's not about like my ego. It's not about like, and it can be about my ego. It can be about feeling good about myself, but I don't find that particularly worth it.
Yeah.
In the long run. And I've worked before I did drag, like I worked like a 9 to 5. I've been in corporatist environments. I've been in service industry environments. Like the work tends to kind of function the same across industries.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. So if you're really doing it for like some prestige factor, like you will get tired. Like it's not gonna feel good. It has to kind of, something has to kind of go beyond that. So like honestly, I didn't know when the show was announced, the winner was announced. I knew the day before, in order to like do my Entertainment Weekly interview. But up until that point, like we did the multiple endings, the last day for the finale. So we did that whole reset and everything.
Wow.
And Lisa Rinna, like shout out to her. Like we did the whole this was within those 7 days, it was a tour de force. Like, and every single person, I think, in the production, whether you were talent, behind the camera, sound, everybody wanted this to work. We didn't know what the fuck work meant, but we needed it to work. And the part that I played in this was the same part as everybody else. I just happened to have the privilege and the circumstance and a certain skill like set that allowed me to win. And that's really it.
Yeah, and I also think like you're
so hot.
Yeah, I'm like, it's so true. That was at the tip of my tongue.
It's funny because I could not get my husband to watch the show for shit. But when he came to the Zero Waste Daniel show we were walking in, and I was like, I'm so excited. King Molasses is walking in it too. Like, you are one of the only other people he talked about in that show. He was like, yeah, there were performers performing. And why didn't you tell me like King Molasses is so hot? Like, does he go both ways? Can we bring
the
him
material? But I also want to. I guess I want to highlight that visibility, right? Because not only are you in your reigning moment, but also, I mean, the Out 100. Congratulations on that! Like,
yeah, thank
what
you.
What do you hope your visibility opens up for? I don't even really want to say the next generation because it feels like y'all haven't even gotten the like all the things that you can soak up right now. But like, what are you hoping this kind of opens up in this next chapter for performers that are also wanting to be drag kings and seeing the opportunities land on their laps?
To be honest, I kind of high key. I want chaos and anarchy.
Yeah.
I don't have like I am someone who takes a very structural approach to drag. I think that's what made me stand out pretty early on, which is that like if I am offered entry into a space, I consider the space before I do anything else. Like if there is a runway, that is what's driving my choices. If there are 5 people in a black box theater, like that's going to drive like sort of my research. Like, you know, I've always had that type of approach. And the point of honestly understanding systems and trends and patterns is to know when you can effectively break them down, when you can kind of move and go within it. So my hope, I think, as King Molasses is in being myself and making the decisions that I want to make and that make sense to me, that people will feel empowered to make decisions and be their full and best selves. And once we all do that, that's when we can actually take this whole weird thing that we're in, this timeline, whether you call it like oppression, the end of days, like whatever, that's when we actually can take that down. Like, I don't want to like be like dramatic or severe, but I'm in it for the war of it all. Like I'm in it for the reconstruction of it. And why honestly I'm willing to be as tired as I am and to be as focused as I am, and to be as grumpy as I am is because like history favors the fuck no one, and if I don't do my part, like I literally I have no I can't expect it from anybody else.
Absolutely.
I stand on tables and bars and I shake like my ass. Like that's like, that was from the very beginning, from that $25 act that I did. It was about literally and in some kind of physical way breaking through. That's all I really want people to do. I try not to put too much of my own like agenda. I try not to project. I'm certainly not perfect, but I am really in it for what people have to bring. Like drag excites me. Like I watch drag. I watched drag for years before I even considered that it could include me as a performer.
I mean, drag is actually movement work. Like it there is so much like active change that can actually happen in a drag performer in the way that they showcase their art or how they present in spaces that could actually like move the needle in so many ways. I mean, we've seen it at a mainstream level, but like I think there's just a constant, especially at the space of the intersections that you exist in. It's no shit. It's like, it's life-changing work. It's legacy work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really, and thank you so much for saying that, because it's not corny to frame it, what we do like this. Like, it might feel a bit like, I come back to like over dramatic. Yeah, like my sort of thing is that like you won't be doing this if you enjoyed what you saw.
Yeah.
Like I do crazy things in front of white people when I'm in drag. Like things like I'd be throwing money in their face. Like,
Oh, and it's free. It's free. You can do the craziest shit.
Like if I can build a container that makes you feel safe and seen, yeah, I really can do almost anything that I want. And I want to be careful with this language, because this isn't about like moving beyond someone's like wall of consent. And this is not about like finding a way to inflict harm, right? I do think that there are artists that are like, they're not coming into it for malice, but like when you start to kind of bring your ego into it, that's when those sort of like rubs happen. And those, that's when it always gets hard. So if I can just be, like I said, quite honest and forthright, and in movement, like I grew up in a religious home, which like my mother was very, very Catholic, a very, very devout Catholic. And so I did confirmation, like
all the rituals.
I taught CCD, or what is Sunday school, like up before I went to college. Like I had nuns like as like Sunday school teachers, like briefly, like I had
not in like the Whoopi Goldberg Sister Act sort of way.
Nah, it was
the complete opposite. Actually,
it really like wasn't cute, and also like I was kind of into it, so I was just like, like nerd. Like I was like, oh my god, like I like my stories. So I had a teacher who used to say, like singing and praise movement is like praying twice. So when you do that in front of people in any way, there is such a surrender that comes from like the person in that spotlight, that regardless of whether the audience member is sort of like cued in to like the tingles that we have right now, they're in the container.
Yeah. There's no way out. They're in it. They're experiencing it regardless.
Yeah. So when like drag is the reminder of the container, it's a reminder that we can also build that frame. And then of course we can expand it to like, we're all born naked and the rest is drag, because yes, like our lives, our rooms, all of these are containers to which, we are called to, really my belief is that we are called to have and display the same vulnerability that we do on stage.
Oh, you are so hot.
Like,
no, it's true. It's true.
Like,
yeah, and like that's like, because being human is about connection, right? Yeah. Like, and my, I want to be effective at it. So in showing like my movement, and I'm not a trained dancer, and dance has actually been historically quite an insecurity of mine. This is like when I was like a young kid, like I grew up in a Black neighborhood. So you wore, and it was the 90s and the early 2000s. So you wore white Air Force Ones and you knew how to dance. And I had neither of those things. Yeah. So like my, like sort of being coordinated in every sense of the word was like a challenge for me, especially like as a child of like immigrants. Like my parents are doing what they got to do, and their focus is not necessarily on like sort of my social welfare, going out into the world. But I learned a lot, and I continue to always try to learn as much about people as possible.
Yeah, and I think that really does show in your work, in what you're building and what you have built already. And it's if no one else tells you, and I know there are plenty of people doing it, you are doing that fucking thing. You are eating. And it's not even just to callously say it. It's like you are really building something of value. And it's important to witness. It really, really is. And I know, like, Yvie, do you want to ask Molasses our like question that we always ask?
I do, because we've gotten real deep, we've gotten real high, we've gotten real low, we've gotten everywhere in between. But I want to know, in your life right now, it could be big, small, thought, idea, person, place, feeling, movie, taste, smell, color. Like, what are you legit high key about right now?
I am high key about dreaming right now. I am high key about like going to sleep.
Yeah.
And dreaming, not like the survival, like I gotta make it or die trying dreaming.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like dreams that center play. I'm talking about like dreams that remind me that like I want to be a club kid. Like dreams that like remind me to like hang out with my friends, to like drink water.
Yes.
Like and I have to like say this. I was such a skeptic before I turned toward drag, in terms of like what life could sort of like offer, like offer my spirit, like I had accepted that, I at a certain point I got a pretty good job. I'm making it do, like I'm not where I necessarily want to be, but like
you're coasting through life.
It is what it is. And there is something about the radical nature of dreaming in a time like this, because everything does feel like it's collapsing. But think about every dream you've ever had when you're flying.
Damn.
What fucking water sign are you? Are you what is?
And you know what? What's so crazy?
You're not
no water in my chart.
What?
For the exception of like Chiron or something. I don't know how woo you are. We can woo. I have 5 fire placements, babe.
Well, you are the most like well-contained fire I have ever seen in my whole ass life.
Let me tell you, when you pay for therapy,
Yeah. You're like, I'm a living example of therapy.
And and I'd be doing homework. Like, no, not y'all be talking. Like, no.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
like wretched. So many for Leo placements. Like, I've done.
Welcome
when
to the
I
Leo
say,
world. We are all Leos in this call.
Oh, hello. I felt at home. Like when I say like a skeptic, like I've been through quite a life. I've lived many lives. I think I like to say. I think many of us have, but I'm very grateful that I hit a point of awareness that like I can be grumpy because like I know what's like. Again, like when we remove the floor, we're flying. So I just have to kind of get to there. So I'm high key about that shit. Let's dream.
Dude, I'm gonna stop smoking pot just for you.
One night. What? But that's how I got here.
Like that. Now, why would you lie?
I was like, I thought we were gonna like hang up and just.
No, we are all smoking. That's the whole point of this. King Molasses, thank you so much for being on HIGHKEY.
Oh, thank you all for having me.
I'm so obsessed with you. And seriously, if y'all have not watched fucking King of Drag, please do your fucking big one. Please support. I think that's what's going to keep this train going.
It's
in
true.
A real way.
And you heard it from Mo first. Like, if you think it's crunchy, you better go on there. You better slide in these King's DMs.
Yeah. If you have any constructive feedback, Venmo.com/King Molasses is always
that's right.
there.
I like how you're,
give some money with your feedback.
I'll hear it better.
Yeah, I love tips, so.
All right, our HIGHKEYs are coming up next. No, Yvie, seriously, I completely understand why you have such a huge crush because King Molasses, definition of delicious. Like their picture in the dictionary is right there under delicious.
It's actually just wild how deeply sexual they are, like down to their soul. Their soul is radiating this like, I could lay you down so good energy. Like, you were like, yeah, they not only did they like steal the crown. I was like, yeah, they stole our hearts. They could steal
this puss.
Yeah, they could steal all my cookies, girl. Get in this jar.
Yeah, because I genuinely, that's kind of also like, I feel like probably their major issue too is because everyone probably falls in love with them. And on top of the sexual energy, child, I'm actually Jasmine Sullivan breaking windows out of your car. That's how I would fight for that person. I would fight for that person. But no, it was really, really special to have them on and so inspiring. So inspiring.
I'm just very, very thankful because like they really, regardless of the future of King of Drag, like how it changes or adapts or whatever, like they represent such an important piece in such a hopeless time and in a time where like people are looking for a place to exist. And y'all look to King Molasses. I'm so hyped about it.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which, let's get into our high keys. Ryan, you want to start this week?
Okay, yes. So I'm high key about a lot of different things because so much we haven't talked or touched on politics a lot, but there is a political shift happening and I am high key all about it. I mean, Zohran Mamdani like ate it up in New York. I don't even live in New York, and normally New York makes awful decisions when it comes to politics, and they ate this. Like I really hope in a very serious and meaningful way. Like I know everyone was really happy when the news came out, and of course, like Prop 50 was passed here in California. But I genuinely hope that this is like a tide, like a shifting of the tides, because we need fresh energy if we're going to keep doing this two-party bullshit that we know low-key doesn't work. And for me, I am high-key very happy in taking advantage of this like small piece of sunshine coming out of a very cloudy time, which is this year. And this is like a sunshine moment. And I think we're all feeling it. And to see the amount of like happiness just flood on socials, it's really, really, it's been beautiful to witness. And I'm really now past the phase of like, okay, we stand Zohran. He's great. Now it's time to hold him accountable to actually do the things that he says he's going to do. And hopefully that can be a blueprint on what we need to do across the board to like get us the fuck through these next years, because we're only 1 year in, and honestly, I'm ready to jump.
Time moves so slow.
I needed to say that I'm so high key about this, like, not even going to say brief energy of like happiness, but
this like long missed, like sight for sore eyes, ass, long forgotten, not even forgotten, just like, bitch, we need this.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, that's what I'm high key about. It's so fucking cool. And us talking to King Molasses, literally, like, Katie, our incredible, like, producer and, like, coordinating producer, like, we were just talking about how important, like, all of this is, like, happening at just a brilliant time. And, yeah, I'm living. What are you high key about?
I mean, I'm high key about that, number one. I was in New York / I'm in New York on election night, and is it called election night? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like there should be. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was here on election night day, and I don't know, the energy was palpable. It's nice to feel like everything isn't completely hopeless. And for me, I'm less even about like holding Zohran Mamdani like accountable for all the shit he said, because like, girl, he's a mayor, and mayors don't have that much power. But
I mean, he's a mayor of one of the largest cities in this country.
But that's why actually I'm just in general pleased to have the hope, because the hope is what really powered me before these last like 12 years. It was this idea that there is a space where the world could be better that I feel like I had especially given up on in politics. So
yeah,
I'm with you on that. To reel it back into the shallow a little bit. It's funny. I'm really high key about the cold, like about the winter bunkering down, about things getting. Specifically because for me, it's the best creative space. Like, I know I've already talked about it. I've been working on music. I've been like doing housework, redecorating, got like new tasteful gay art. So I'm into the time where the world's being like, hey girl, slow down. Why don't you go make a soup and think about what color you should paint those banisters?
Please.
High key about it. She's a good Judy.
Oh my God. No, I'm obsessed. And this was such a great show. I'm really loving doing this show. And y'all know what I'm about to say every time.
It's true. Okay, y'all have to find us everywhere on social media. High key. Here / here. High key at high key here.
Yes.
Got that one. Including, but not limited to, if you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts, you should go and leave us a 5-star review. Please. And then tell us who dressed better today.
Oh, okay. Yes, please. Actually, I would love to know. And also just tell me how cute Coco is, because y'all are actually, I've realized, and by looking at the comments on YouTube, y'all are low key her babysitters, because I'm not watching what she's doing. And they're always like, oh, Coco is like, she's just sleeping and she's so cute. And then she's moving from one end to the other.
I'm like, should she be swallowing that remote hole?
I'm like, so y'all need to let me know. Keep up with the kids. Keep up with, y'all are now her official aunties and gunkles.
Welcome to the family.
Until next time, though, we love you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Adios, motherfuckers. Oh, I used to be addicted to those.